Have you ever felt crushed by the weight of emotional baggage? The kind that keeps you up at night, makes you question your worth, and traps you in a cycle of pain. Emotional attachment can be a brutal prison, one that holds you back from living the life you deserve. But what if I told you there's a way to break free? Today, we're going to explore something that might shock you, something that could change your life forever: the combined power of ancient Stoic wisdom and the teachings of Jesus Christ. Now, before we dive in, I want you to do something bold, something that marks the start of your journey toward freedom. Go down to the comments right now and type, "Detachment is my strength." By doing this, you're not just typing words, you're making a declaration. You're saying that you're ready to take control, to break free from the chains that have held you down for so long. So if you're serious about transforming your life, let's make it official. Type it now. Detachment is my strength. Let me see how many of you are ready to embrace the power of detachment in your lives. Now that you've made that commitment, let's talk about what's coming. Over the next few minutes, we're going to dive deep into 10 powerful rules that can help you emotionally detach from the things and people that drain your energy. These rules are not just rooted in Stoicism, a philosophy that has stood the test of time for over 2,000 years, but they're also inspired by the teachings of Jesus Christ, who showed us how to live a life of purpose and inner peace. But I warn you, this isn't going to be a fluffy, feel-good talk. We're going to get real, raw, and controversial. If you're easily offended or uncomfortable with confronting the truth, this might not be for you. But if you're ready to face the reality of your emotional struggles and do something about it, then let's get started. Rule 1: the power of detachment. Let's get one thing straight. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become a robot, devoid of feelings. Detachment is about reclaiming your power, your God-given power to choose peace over chaos. Think about Jesus. He didn't let the world's madness dictate his peace. Even in his darkest hours, like in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus withdrew to pray, to find strength in solitude. Luke chapter 5 verse 16 tells us that Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. He wasn't running away from the world. He was grounding himself in something deeper, something unshakable. Now, let me be blunt. You've been giving away your peace to people who don't deserve it. Every time you let someone else's opinion dictate your emotions, you're handing them control over your life. Imagine you're holding a remote control, and you keep giving it to others, letting them change the channel of your emotions. One minute you're happy, the next you're sad, anxious, or angry, all because you've allowed someone else to dictate how you feel. But here's the kicker. You don't have to live like that. Detachment is about taking back that remote control and deciding for yourself how you're going to feel, no matter what's happening around you. It's about saying, "My peace is non-negotiable." You see, Jesus didn't get sucked into the drama of the Pharisees or the chaos of the crowds. He knew when to engage and when to step back. That's the kind of detachment we're talking about, one that allows you to stay grounded in who you are and what you value, no matter what's going on around you. So, how do you start practicing detachment? Here's a practical step. Identify the people and situations that trigger your emotional roller coaster. Is it that friend who only calls when they need something? Is it your job that drains every ounce of energy from you? Once you identify these triggers, take a step back. Create some distance. This doesn't mean you cut people off completely, unless they're toxic and you need to, but it does mean you stop letting their issues become your issues. You set boundaries, and you stick to them. Rule 2: understanding attachment. Let's talk about attachment, the dirty little secret that keeps you stuck. Attachment is like a chain that ties you to the past, to people, to outcomes that you have no control over. And where does it come from? Your ego. Yeah, that's right. It's your ego whispering lies to you, telling you that you need that person's approval, that you can't be happy without this or that your worth is tied somehow to what others think of you. But Jesus had a different take on this. In Matthew chapter 16, verse 25, he said, "For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it." What does this mean? It means that the more you cling to your desires, your fears, your need for validation, the more you lose sight of who you truly are. You become a prisoner to your own attachments, and guess what? That's exactly where the enemy wants you, tied up, distracted, and powerless. But here's the truth. You don't need anyone's approval to be whole. You don't need to cling to the things of this world to find peace. Jesus didn't cling to anything, not power, not possessions, not even his life. He was free because he understood that his worth, his identity, came from God, not from anything or anyone else. So how do you break free from these attachments? Start by questioning them. Ask yourself, why am I so attached to this person, this job, this outcome? What fear or desire is driving this attachment? Once you've identified it, challenge it. Do you really need this to be happy? Or is it just your ego playing tricks on you? Here's a practical tip. Start practicing what I call ego detox. Every day, pick one thing you're attached to and let it go, just for a day. It could be something simple like checking your phone every 5 minutes, or something deeper like needing your partner to say, "I love you," to feel secure. Let it go and see how it feels. You might just discover that your happiness doesn't depend on that thing after all. Rule 3. The illusion of control. Let's be real. Control is an illusion, a cruel joke we play on ourselves. You think you can control people, outcomes, situations, but the truth is, you can't. And the more you try, the more miserable you become. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips away. Jesus knew this better than anyone. When he prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane, he said, "Not my will, but yours be done." Luke chapter 22, verse 42. Even Jesus, the Son of God, surrendered control to the Father. He knew that trying to control everything was a fool's errand. True power, true freedom, comes from letting go and trusting in God's plan. But here's the real truth. You've been lied to. The world tells you that you can be anything, do anything, have anything, as long as you work hard enough, believe in yourself, and never give up. But that's a half-truth at best. Yes, you should work hard. Yes, you should believe in yourself. But no, you're not in control of everything, and the sooner you accept that, the sooner you'll find peace. So how do you let go of this illusion of control? Start by acknowledging the areas where you're trying to control too much. Is it your relationships, your career, your health? Once you've identified these areas, practice surrender. This doesn't mean giving up. It means giving it over to God. It means saying, "I've done my best, and now I trust that whatever happens is for my highest good." The next time you're faced with a situation that's out of your control, like a delayed flight, a missed opportunity, or a misunderstanding, don't react. Instead, pause, take a deep breath, and say, "I surrender this to God." You'll be amazed at how much peace comes from simply letting go. Rule 4. Detachment in practice. Detachment isn't just a concept to think about. It's something you need to practice every single day. And I'm not talking about sitting on a mountaintop meditating for hours, though if that works for you, go for it. I'm talking about real life, in the trenches, day-to-day detachment. Jesus gave us the ultimate example of detachment in practice. He forgave those who crucified him, saying, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." Luke chapter 23, verse 34. Imagine that, being nailed to a cross in excruciating pain and still choosing to forgive. That's the kind of detachment we're aiming for, not letting the actions of others dictate your peace. But let's bring this down to earth. How do you practice detachment in your everyday life? Start with forgiveness. I'm not saying it's easy. In fact, it's probably one of the hardest things you'll ever do. But here's the thing. Forgiveness isn't about letting the other person off the hook. It's about setting yourself free. When you hold on to grudges, you're the one who suffers, not them. Jesus knew this, and that's why he made forgiveness a cornerstone of his teachings. Think of someone who's hurt you, someone you've been holding a grudge against. Now, I want you to do something radical. Pray for them. Ask God to bless them, to heal whatever pain they're carrying that caused them to hurt you. I know it sounds crazy, but trust me, there's nothing more liberating than letting go of that burden. And don't stop there. Practice detachment in small ways too. The next time someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of flipping them off, take a deep breath and let it go. The next time your boss criticizes you, instead of taking it personally, see it as an opportunity to grow. The more you practice detachment in the small things, the easier it becomes to detach from the big things. Rule 5. The path to happiness. Now let's talk about happiness. Something everyone wants but few truly understand. The world tells you that happiness comes from getting what you want, the perfect job, the perfect partner, the perfect life. But here's the truth. Happiness isn't out there. It's in here. Jesus said, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God." Matthew chapter 5, verse 8. What does that mean? It means that true happiness comes from a pure heart, a heart that isn't weighed down by attachments, desires, and fears. A heart that is free to experience the fullness of life without the chains of neediness and greed. But here's the thing. You've been sold a lie. You've been told that you need to chase happiness, that it's something you have to go out and find. But the more you chase it, the more it eludes you. It's like trying to catch a butterfly. The harder you try, the more it slips through your fingers. So how do you find true happiness? Stop chasing it. Stop looking for it in other people, in possessions, in achievements. Instead, look within. Cultivate a pure heart, free from the clutter of unnecessary desires. How do you do that? Start by simplifying your life. Get rid of the things that don't bring you joy. Let go of the relationships that drain you. Focus on what truly matters. Your relationship with God, your health, your peace of mind. Every day, do something that nourishes your soul. It could be prayer, meditation, spending time in nature, or simply sitting in silence. Whatever it is, make it a non-negotiable part of your day. The more you feed your soul, the less you'll need to rely on external things for happiness. And here's another tip. Practice gratitude. I know it sounds cliché, but it works. Every night before you go to bed, think of 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big things, just anything that brought a smile to your face or warmth to your heart. The more you focus on what you have, the less you'll worry about what you don't have. And that, my friend, is the key to happiness. Rule 6. Embrace the present moment. Let's face it, most of us are either living in the past or worrying about the future. We're so caught up in what happened yesterday or what might happen tomorrow that we miss the only thing that's real, the present moment. Jesus knew this, which is why he said, "Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." Matthew chapter 6, verse 34. In other words, stay present, focus on the here and now. This moment, right now, is the only moment that truly exists. Everything else is just a figment of your imagination. But here's the problem. You've been trained to live anywhere but the present. Your mind is constantly jumping from one thought to the next, dragging you back into the past or pushing you into the future. And that's where all your anxiety comes from living in moments that don't even exist. So, how do you start living in the present? The first step is to become aware of your thoughts. Notice when your mind starts to wander, whether it's replaying an old conversation or worrying about something that hasn't happened yet. When you catch yourself doing this, gently bring your focus back to the present moment. This could be as simple as taking a deep breath and feeling the air fill your lungs, or noticing the sensation of your feet on the ground. Throughout the day, set aside a few minutes to practice mindfulness. This could be during your morning coffee, on your commute, or right before bed. During this time, focus entirely on the present moment. Don't think about what you need to do next or what you didn't get done today. Just be. The more you practice this, the easier it will become to stay present in your daily life. You don't need to be constantly productive. The world tells you that you need to be doing, achieving, and striving every second of the day. But that's a recipe for burnout, not happiness. Sometimes, the most productive thing you can do is to do nothing at all, to just sit and be without any agenda or goal. That's where real peace is found, in the stillness of the present moment. Rule 7. Reframe your thoughts. Your thoughts are powerful. They shape your reality, influence your emotions, and determine your actions. But here's the thing. Most of your thoughts are lies. They're distortions of reality, twisted by your fears, insecurities, and past experiences. Paul understood this when he wrote, "Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, think about such things." Philippians chapter 4, verse 8. He knew that the key to a peaceful mind is to focus on what is true, not on the lies your mind keeps telling you. Most of the time, your mind isn't focused on what's true. It's focused on what could go wrong, what you don't have, what other people think of you, and that's why you're stuck in a cycle of negative thinking that keeps you attached to your fears and insecurities. So how do you break free? By reframing your thoughts. This means taking a step back and questioning the thoughts that are running through your mind. Are they really true? Or are they just stories you've been telling yourself? For example, when you think, "I can't live without this person," ask yourself, is that really true? Or is it just my fear talking? More often than not, you'll find that your thoughts are exaggerations, distortions, or outright lies. Start keeping a thought journal. Every time you catch yourself thinking something negative, write it down. Then, challenge that thought. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it something you would say to a friend? If not, reframe it into something more positive and truthful. For example, instead of thinking, "I'm not good enough," reframe it to, "I'm doing my best, and that's enough." And here's another tip. Surround yourself with positive influences. The more you expose yourself to uplifting content, whether it's books, podcasts, or people, the easier it will be to reframe your thoughts. Remember, your mind is like a garden. If you plant weeds, don't be surprised when they take over. But if you plant flowers, positive thoughts, affirmations, and truths, you'll create a beautiful, peaceful mind. Rule 8. Set healthy boundaries. Let's talk about boundaries, something most people struggle with. You see, boundaries are like the walls of your emotional house. Without them, anyone can walk in, take what they want, and leave you feeling drained and used. But with healthy boundaries, you protect your energy, your peace, and your well-being. Even Jesus set boundaries. Mark chapter 1 verse 35 tells us that he often withdrew to lonely places to pray. He didn't spend every waking moment serving others. He knew when to step back, recharge, and reconnect with God. And if Jesus needed boundaries, so do you. Setting boundaries means saying no, and saying no is something most people are terrified of. You're afraid that if you say no, people won't like you, that they'll think you're selfish or mean. But here's the truth. Saying no is one of the most powerful things you can do for your mental health. It's not about being selfish, it's about being self-respecting. It's about knowing your limits and not letting others push you beyond them. So how do you start setting boundaries? The first step is to get clear on what your boundaries are. What behaviors are you willing to tolerate? And what are your non-negotiables? Once you're clear on that, start communicating your boundaries to others. And here's the key: don't apologize for them. Your boundaries are your right. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you need them. The next time someone asks you to do something you're not comfortable with, practice saying no. You don't have to be rude, but you do have to be firm. For example, you could say, "I appreciate the offer, but I'm going to have to pass." Or, "Thank you for thinking of me, but I'm not available." The more you practice saying no, the easier it will become. Don't feel guilty for setting boundaries. Guilt is a tool the enemy uses to keep you trapped in people-pleasing. Remember, even Jesus set boundaries. He didn't heal everyone, and he didn't apologize for it. He knew his purpose and stayed true to it, regardless of what others wanted from him. That's the kind of strength you need to cultivate, one that knows when to give and when to hold back. Rule 9. Engage in self-care. Self-care isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. You can't pour from an empty cup, and yet so many of us try to. We run ourselves ragged, trying to be everything to everyone, and in the process, we lose ourselves. But here's the thing: your body is a temple. 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 19 says, "Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God?" This means that taking care of yourself isn't just important, it's sacred. But let's be real, self-care has been hijacked by the wellness industry. It's been turned into a marketing gimmick to sell you products you don't need. Real self-care isn't about bubble baths and face masks, though there's nothing wrong with those. Real self-care is about setting aside time to nourish your body, mind, and spirit. It's about getting enough sleep, eating healthy foods, moving your body, and spending time with God. Self-care also means making tough decisions, like cutting out toxic relationships, saying no to opportunities that don't align with your values, and taking time off when you need it. And yes, this might mean disappointing people. But here's the truth: you can't be everything to everyone, and you shouldn't try to be. Your first responsibility is to yourself, because if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else. Schedule self-care like you would any other important appointment. Block off time in your calendar for rest, exercise, and spiritual practices. Make it non-negotiable. This is your time to recharge and reconnect with yourself and God. And here's another tip: start a self-care journal. Each day, write down one thing you did to take care of yourself. It could be as simple as going for a walk, taking a nap, or spending 5 minutes in prayer. The more you prioritize self-care, the more balanced and grounded you'll feel. Rule 10. Practice gratitude. Finally, let's talk about gratitude, the secret sauce to a joyful life. Gratitude isn't just about saying thank you when things go your way. It's about finding the good in every situation, even the tough ones. When Jesus fed the 5,000 with just 5 loaves and 2 fish, he gave thanks before the miracle happened. John chapter 6 verse 11. He didn't wait for the abundance to show up. He thanked God for it in advance. But gratitude isn't always easy. When life knocks you down, when you're facing loss, disappointment, or uncertainty, the last thing you want to do is be grateful. But that's exactly when gratitude is most powerful. It shifts your focus from what you lack to what you have, from what's wrong to what's right. The world teaches you to focus on what you don't have, to always want more, to never be satisfied. But that's a trap that keeps you in a perpetual state of dissatisfaction. The more you chase after what you don't have, the more you reinforce the belief that you're not enough. But when you practice gratitude, you break free from that trap. You start to see the abundance in your life, and that abundance grows. Start a gratitude journal. Every morning, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big things, just anything that brings you joy or comfort. The more you focus on what you are grateful for, the more you'll attract positive experiences into your life. Practice gratitude in the moment. When something good happens, no matter how small, take a moment to pause and give thanks. When something challenging happens, take a moment to find the lesson or the silver lining and give thanks for that. The more you practice gratitude, the more you'll cultivate a mindset of abundance, and that's the key to a joyful, peaceful life. By practicing these 10 Stoic rules, rooted in both ancient wisdom and biblical teachings, you can find the strength to emotionally detach and live a life of peace and fulfillment. Remember, detachment is not about becoming cold. It's about finding the warmth of inner peace and spiritual connection. If you're ready to take this journey, make sure to subscribe for more insights. And don't forget to leave a comment below. Detachment is my strength, to declare your commitment to emotional freedom. And here's my final challenge to you. Don't just watch this video and move on. Take action. Start practicing these rules today and watch how your life begins to transform. You deserve to live a life of peace, joy, and fulfillment. And it all starts with you, right here, right now. So take that first step, and let's walk this path to freedom together.